What would you do if a stranger went into labor right in front of you, on a crowded subway, with no doctor in sight? That's exactly what happened to a single dad, who never imagined that helping deliver a baby underground would change his life forever. But here's the shocking twist: the woman he saved wasn't just anyone, she was the powerful CEO's wife. And what happened next will leave you speechless. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heart-touching stories. The screeching sound of subway wheels against rusty tracks echoed through the underground tunnel as the train rattled forward. It was a typical New York evening, where the crowd of exhausted workers, restless teenagers, and wandering souls piled into the metallic beast to escape the pouring rain outside. Among them sat Daniel Parker, a 32-year-old single father with tired eyes and calloused hands. His world revolved around one person, his little daughter, Lily, a bright-eyed 6-year-old who loved coloring books and bedtime stories. Daniel was a man who knew struggle, who carried the weight of responsibility like a second skin, and who often wondered how much longer he could keep going before life swallowed him whole. Yet despite everything, he always wore a gentle smile for his daughter. That evening, Daniel was heading home after his long shift at a construction site. His steel-toe boots were muddy, his shirt soaked from both sweat and rain, and his wallet, as always, frighteningly thin. But in his jacket pocket, he carried a folded piece of paper, Lily's drawing of the two of them holding hands under a rainbow. It was that simple sketch that kept him moving, reminding him of why he worked so hard. The train stopped with a jolt, the doors hissing open, and in stepped a woman who immediately drew everyone's attention. She was stunning in a natural, understated way, dressed in a modest coat, her long dark hair clinging to her damp face. But more than her appearance, it was her condition that caught Daniel's eye. She was heavily pregnant, clutching her stomach as though each breath was a battle. No one offered her a seat. People pretended not to notice, busying themselves with phones, newspapers, or simply looking away. Daniel sighed, stood up despite his aching legs, and gestured. "Ma'am, please, sit here," he said softly. Her eyes, wide and filled with both gratitude and exhaustion, met his. She nodded, whispering a quiet, "Thank you," before lowering herself carefully onto the seat he vacated. Daniel leaned against the pole nearby, ignoring his own fatigue. For a few stops, everything seemed normal, well, as normal as an overcrowded subway could be. But then, without warning, the woman let out a sharp cry. Her face twisted in pain, her hand gripping the metal bar so tightly her knuckles turned white. Gasps filled the subway car. A man muttered, "Oh no, she's going into labor," while another woman instinctively backed away as if birth were contagious. Panic spread like wildfire. Daniel's heart raced. He looked around, no doctors, no nurses, no one stepping forward. The pregnant woman's breathing grew shallow, desperate. She cried out, "Please, help me. I think the baby's coming." Her words broke into a scream that silenced the entire car. Daniel didn't think. He couldn't afford to. Years of being a father, of raising Lily alone, had taught him something vital. When someone needed help, you didn't wait for someone else to step up. You became that someone. He knelt beside her, his construction-stained hands trembling but steady enough to matter. "Ma'am, listen to me," he said firmly, though his voice shook. "You're going to be okay. I've done this once before." That wasn't entirely true. He hadn't delivered Lily, but he had been right there when his late wife, Emily, gave birth in a chaotic hospital room. He remembered the way the doctors barked orders, the way Emily squeezed his hand so hard he thought it would break, the way he whispered to her that she wasn't alone. He remembered the miracle of life, terrifying and beautiful. That memory became his anchor now. The subway screeched to a halt between stations, trapped by a signal malfunction. People groaned, cursed under their breath, but Daniel only focused on the woman in front of him. Sweat dripped down her forehead, her cries echoing off the cold steel walls. "Everyone, please. Daniel shouted, his voice commanding enough to silence the crowd. "Call 911. Get some clean cloths, anything you can find. We don't have much time." Reluctantly, people obeyed. A teenager pulled off his hoodie and handed it over. An older woman dug into her purse for tissues. Another passenger dialed emergency services, frantically reporting their location. Daniel turned back to the woman. "What's your name?" he asked, trying to keep her focused. "Hannah," she gasped, clutching his sleeve. "Okay, Hannah, you're doing great. Just breathe. I've got you. I won't leave you." Her eyes brimmed with tears, not just from the pain, but from the raw fear of bringing a child into the world in such a place. But something in Daniel's voice, the steady warmth of his presence, grounded her. She nodded, whispering, "Please, don't let me do this alone." "You're not alone," Daniel promised. "I swear." Minutes felt like hours. The train car became a makeshift delivery room, passengers forming a protective circle, their fear slowly transforming into awe. Daniel coached Hannah through each contraction, his words a lifeline. "You're stronger than you think. One more push, Hannah, come on, you can do this." And then, amidst the chaos of screeching brakes, dim flickering lights, and the stench of metal and rain, a new cry pierced the air. A baby's cry. Tiny, fragile, yet powerful enough to hush the entire subway car. Daniel held the newborn carefully, his rough hand surprisingly gentle. He wrapped the baby in the teenager's hoodie and looked at Hannah, tears streaking his face. "You did it," he whispered, voice breaking. "Your baby's here. Healthy and strong." Hannah sobbed, reaching out weakly. Daniel placed the infant in her arms, watching as her exhausted face lit up with a love so fierce it could melt stone. For a moment, the subway wasn't just a grimy underground tunnel, it was a sanctuary, a place where strangers united to witness the raw miracle of life. The emergency crew finally arrived, rushing in with stretchers and medical bags. They praised Daniel's quick thinking, commending him for keeping both mother and child safe. Hannah clutched his hand one last time before being wheeled away, her voice trembling as she whispered, "Thank you, you saved us. I'll never forget you." Daniel just nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. His clothes were stained, his hands trembling, his heart pounding with a strange mixture of fear, relief, and something else he couldn't quite name. As he sat back down on the now empty seat, he thought of Lily. He couldn't wait to tell her the story, how her dad had helped bring a baby into the world. What Daniel didn't know, what no one on that subway car knew, was that Hannah was not just an ordinary woman. She was the wife of Richard Donovan, one of the most powerful CEOs in the city. And this encounter, born out of compassion in a dim underground tunnel, was about to turn Daniel's world upside down in ways he could never have imagined. Days later, Daniel was at home with Lily, preparing a simple dinner of pasta when a black car pulled up outside their small apartment. Two men in suits stepped out, followed by a tall man with sharp features and an intimidating presence, Richard Donovan, the billionaire CEO. Daniel froze, his first thought being, why would someone like him be here? Richard introduced himself, thanking Daniel for saving his wife and newborn child. Daniel stammered, insisting he had only done what anyone would do. But Richard's piercing eyes softened. "No," he said firmly. "You did what most wouldn't. You gave them a chance at life. For that, I owe you everything." Hannah, holding the baby, stepped forward with tears in her eyes. She hugged Daniel tightly, whispering, "You were our miracle." Lily tugged at her father's sleeve shyly, and Hannah bent down, smiling at her with warmth. Over the next weeks, Richard invited Daniel to his corporate headquarters, offering him not money, but an opportunity. A stable job, healthcare for Lily, and a future that Daniel never thought possible. At first, Daniel hesitated, he wasn't used to kindness being repaid. But when he saw Lily's eyes light up at the thought of a better life, he accepted. That night, as Daniel tucked Lily into bed, She whispered, "Daddy, you're a hero."